The Jewish boy was horrified when he discovered that the German soldiers were flying on sharks during the flight. He hurriedly grabbed his father's sleeve, saying that enemies were chasing them. However, his father insisted that the Nazis only existed in World War II history and that sharks couldn't possibly leave the ocean. The man couldn't have imagined that in the eyes of these monsters, the clouds and sea were the same. Countless Nazi riders were controlling the sharks, wagging their tails and flapping their wings. By the time the pilot noticed the anomaly on the radar, it was too late. The lead Nazi shark suddenly launched a device, and a metal net with Nazi symbols attached to the plane's fuselage. Immediately after, the German soldiers jumped off the sharks' backs onto the plane, using welding tools to melt a huge Nazi symbol onto the plane's body. Just as they raised their feet to break the fuselage, the pilot saw a shark swimming towards them from the front. Before they could react, the Nazi shark crashed through the windshield. Passengers screamed during the turbulence, and the flight attendant opened the curtain to check the situation. Meanwhile, Nazi soldiers were firing their guns wildly. A bald man pulled out a cross to ward off evil, but it had no effect on the Nazi zombies. More zombie riders hit the plane's body with their tails, creating dents in the metal shell with each strike. By this time, the plane's engine had been ripped apart, and the fuselage began to fall rapidly. The Nazi shark group intentionally followed the plane, as if documenting the attack to threaten Jews worldwide. Meanwhile, a scientist discovered the secret Nazi zombie base in the Arctic. Inside the base hung thousands of Nazi soldiers' bodies, preserved in perfect condition, their limbs twitching uncontrollably. They were connected to blood transfusion tubes, their muscles unusually strong. The father, commanding from behind, shouted for her to retreat after seeing the live footage. But just as she realized she had been discovered, 3 zombies emerged from the shadows and surrounded her. The woman quickly fought back, using her combat skills to temporarily push the enemies away. However, a large group of Nazi zombies, riding sharks, returned to the base. The flying shark group landed on the helipad, and the riders began to maintain their sharks. Unfortunately, the woman accidentally entered the maintenance area and was knocked down by a shark's tail. A needle was injected into the back of her neck. Fighting through her body's abnormal reactions, the woman used all her strength to escape the base. Do you think the woman will ultimately mutate into a Nazi zombie?